Word list 44. Subliminal. Below the threshold. We may not be aware of the subliminal influences that affect our thinking. Submissive. Yielding, timid. When he refused to permit Elizabeth to marry her poet, Mr. Barron expected her to be properly submissive. Instead, she eloped. Subordinate. Occupying a lower rank, inferior, submissive. Bishop Proudie's wife expected all the subordinate clergy to behave with great deference to the wife of their superior. Suborn. Persuade to act unlawfully, especially to commit perjury. In The Godfather, the mobsters used bribery and threats to suborn the witnesses against Don Michael Corleone. Subpoena. Read summoning a witness to appear. The prosecutor's office was ready to serve a subpoena on the reluctant witness. Subsequent. Following, later. In subsequent lessons, we shall take up more difficult problems. Subservient. Behaving like a slave, servile, obsequious. He was proud and dignified, he refused to be subservient to anyone. Subside. Settle down, descend, grow quiet. The doctor assured us that the fever would eventually subside. Subsidiary. Subordinate, secondary. This information may be used as subsidiary evidence but is not sufficient by itself to prove your argument. Subsidy. Direct financial aid by government, etc. Without this subsidy, American ship operators would not be able to compete in world markets. Subsistence. Existence, means of support, livelihood. In these days of inflated prices, my salary provides a mere subsistence. Substantial. Ample, solid, in essentials. The generous scholarship represented a substantial sum of money. Substantiate. Establish by evidence, verify, support. These endorsements from satisfied customers substantiate our claim that Barron's How to Prepare for the SATI is the best SAT prep book on the market. Substantive. Essential, pertaining to the substance. Although the delegates were aware of the importance of the problem, they could not agree on the substantive issues. Subterfuge. Pretense, evasion. As soon as we realized that you had won our support by a subterfuge, we withdrew our endorsement of your candidacy. Subtlety. Perceptiveness, ingenuity, delicacy. Never obvious, she expressed herself with such subtlety that her remarks went right over the heads of most of her audience. Subversive. Tending to overthrow, destructive. At first glance, the notion that styrofoam cups may actually be more ecologically sound than paper cups strikes most environmentalists as subversive. Succinct. Brief, terse, compact. Don't bore your audience with excess verbiage, be succinct. Succor. Aid, assist, comfort. If you believe that con man has come here to succor you in your hour of need, you're an even bigger sucker than I thought. Succulent. Juicy, full of richness. To some people, Florida citrus fruits are more succulent than those from California. Succumb. yield, give in, die. I succumb to temptation whenever I see chocolate. Suffragist. Advocate of voting rights, for women. In recognition of her efforts to win the vote for women, Congress authorized coining a silver dollar honoring the suffragist Susan B. Anthony. Sully. Tarnish, soil. He felt that it was beneath his dignity to sully his hands in such menial labor. Sultry. Sweltering. He could not adjust himself to the sultry climate of the tropics. Summation. Act of finding the total, summary. In his summation, the lawyer emphasized the testimony given by the two witnesses. Summit. Utmost height or pinnacle, highest point, of a mountain, etc. The summit of the amateur mountain climber's aspirations was someday to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Sumptuous. Lavish, rich. I cannot recall when I have had such a sumptuous Thanksgiving feast. Sunder. Separate, part. Northern and Southern Ireland are politically and religiously sundered. Supercilious. Arrogant, condescending, patronizing. The supercilious head waiter sneered at customers whom he thought did not fit in at a restaurant catering to an ultra-fashionable crowd. Superficial. Trivial, shallow. Since your report gave only a superficial analysis of the problem, I cannot give you more than a passing grade. Superfluous. Unnecessary, excessive, overabundant. Betsy lacked the heart to tell June that the wedding present she brought was superfluous. She and Bob had already received 5 toasters. Please try not to include so many superfluous details in your report, just give me the facts. Superimpose. Place over something else. Your attempt to superimpose another agency in this field will merely increase the bureaucratic nature of our government. Supersede. Cause to be set aside, replace, make obsolete. The new bulk mailing postal regulation supersedes the old one. If you continue to follow the old regulation, your bulk mailing will be returned to you. Supplant. Replace, usurp. Bolingbroke, later to be known as King Henry IV, fought to supplant his cousin, Richard III, as King of England. Supple. Flexible, pliant. Years of yoga exercises made Grace's body supple. Supplicate. Petition humbly, pray to grant a favor. We supplicate your majesty to grant him amnesty. Supposition. Hypothesis, the act of supposing. I based my decision to confide in him on the supposition that he would be discreet. Suppress. Stifle, overwhelm, subdue, inhibit. Too polite to laugh in anyone's face, Roy did his best to suppress his amusement at Ed's inane remark. Surfeit. Satiate, stuff, indulge to excess in anything. Every Thanksgiving we are surfeited with an overabundance of holiday treats. Surly. Rude, cross. Because of his surly attitude, many people avoided his company. Surmise. Guess. I surmise that he will be late for this meeting. Surmount. Overcome. Could Helen Keller, blind and deaf since childhood, surmount her physical disabilities and lead a productive life? Surpass. Exceed. Her SATI scores surpassed our expectations. Surreptitious. Secret, furtive, sneaky, hidden. Hoping to discover where his mom had hidden the Christmas presents, Timmy took a surreptitious peek into the master bedroom closet. Surrogate. Substitute. For a fatherless child, a male teacher may become a father surrogate. Surveillance. Watching, guarding. The FBI kept the house under constant surveillance in the hope of capturing all the criminals at one time. Susceptible. Impressionable, easily influenced, having little resistance, as to a disease, receptive to. Said the patent medicine man to his very susceptible customer, buy this new miracle drug, and you will no longer be susceptible to the common cold. Sustain. Experience, support, nourish. He sustained such a severe injury that the doctors feared he would be unable to work to sustain his growing family. Sustenance. Means of support, food, nourishment. In the tropics, the natives find sustenance easy to obtain, due to all the fruit trees. Suture. Stitches sewn to hold the cut edges of a wound or incision, material used in sewing. We will remove the sutures as soon as the wound heals. Swagger. Behave arrogantly or pompously, strut or walk proudly. The conquering hero didn't simply stride down the street, he swaggered. Swarm. Dense moving crowd, large group of honeybees. At the height of the City Hall scandals, a constant swarm of reporters followed the mayor everywhere. Swarthy. Dark, dusky. Despite the stereotypes, not all Italians are swarthy, many are fair and blonde. Swathe. Wrap around, bandage. When I visited him in the hospital, I found him swathed in bandages. Swelter. Be oppressed by heat. I am going to buy an air conditioning unit for my apartment as I do not intend to swelter through another hot and humid summer. Swerve. Deviate, turn aside sharply. The car swerved wildly as the driver struggled to regain control of the wheel. Swill. Drink greedily. Singing yo, ho, ho, and a bottle of rum, Long John Silver and his fellow pirates swilled their grog. Swindler. Cheat. She was gullible and trusting, an easy victim for the first swindler who came along. Sybarite. Lover of luxury. Rich people are not always sybarites, some of them have little taste for a life of luxury. Sycophant. Servile flatterer, bootlicker, yes man. Fed up with the toadies and flunkies who made up his entourage, the star cried, "Get out, all of you. I'm sick of sycophants. Sycophancy." Symbiosis. Interdependent relationship, between groups, species, often mutually beneficial. Both the crocodile bird and the crocodile derive benefit from their symbiosis, pecking away at food particles embedded in the crocodile's teeth. The bird receives nourishment, the crocodile, meanwhile, receives proper dental hygiene. Symmetry. Arrangement of parts so that balance is obtained. Congruity. Something lopsided by definition lacks symmetry. Synoptic. Providing a general overview, summary. The professor turned to the latest issue of Dissertation Abstracts for a synoptic account of what was new in the field. Synthesis. Combining parts into a whole. Now that we have succeeded in isolating this drug, our next problem is to plan its synthesis in the laboratory. Table. Set aside a resolution or proposal for future consideration. Because we seem unable to agree on this issue at the moment, let us table the motion for now and come back to it at a later date. Tacit. Understood, not put into words. We have a tacit agreement based on only a handshake. Taciturn. Habitually silent, talking little. The stereotypical cowboy is a taciturn soul, answering lengthy questions with a yep or nope. Tactile. Pertaining to the organs or sense of touch. His calloused hands had lost their tactile sensitivity. Taint. Contaminate, cause to lose purity, modify with a trace of something bad. One speck of dirt on your utensils may contain enough germs to taint an entire batch of preserves. Talisman. Charm to bring good luck and avert misfortune. Joe believed the carved pendant he found in Vietnam served him as a talisman and brought him safely through the war. Talon. Claw of bird. The falconer wore a leather gauntlet to avoid being clawed by the hawk's talons. Tangential. Peripheral, only slightly connected, digressing. Despite Clark's attempts to distract her with tangential remarks, Lois kept on coming back to her main question: why couldn't he come out to dinner with Superman and her? Tangible. Able to be touched, real, palpable. Although Tom did not own a house, he had several tangible assets: a car, a television, a PC that he could sell if he needed cash. Tanner. Person who turns animal hides into leather. Using a solution of tan bark, the tanner treated the cowhide, transforming it into supple leather. Tantalize. Tease, torture with disappointment. Tom loved to tantalize his younger brother with candy. He knew the boy was forbidden to have it. Tantamount. Equivalent in effect or value. Though Rudy claimed his wife was off visiting friends, his shriek of horror when she walked into the room was tantamount to a confession that he believed she was dead.